Joe Biden's health is a mess and it's only getting worse. The world is very aware of Joe Biden's rapid mental and physical decline, and now that the media is no longer protecting the president, the full extent of his shocking health issues can be revealed. Sky News All Stars James Macpherson, Kinsey, Schofield and Douglas Murray take a look at the real reasons for Joe Biden's deterioration and ask who is actually running the country whilst Joe Biden is sleeping for a large part of the day. Joe Biden's health has always been a mystery. A complex web of officials, his family and the media have always worked together to censor the world from his decline. But finally, after that catastrophic debate performance, the curtain has dropped and the truth exposed. Diagnoses from Parkinson's to dementia have been thrown around, and Parkinson's expert Dr. Tom Pitts is convinced that Joe Biden has the condition.
You noticed anything that gives you a red flag as a doctor?
Oh, yeah, I see him 20 times a day in clinic. I mean, it's ironic because he has just such classic features of neurodegeneration. I mean, word finding difficulties, and that's not, I couldn't find the word. That's from degeneration of the word retrieval area.
He's also overcome stuttering, though. Could that be part of that, too?
No, this is not a palatal issue or a speech discrepancy, which is very different from a lemmonode dysfunction, actual word retrieval, where you pick a similar question or talk around the issue, plus the rigidity, monotone voice.
Wait, go back to that, the rigidity. What do you mean?
Rigidity, loss of arm swing, standing up lordotically. You notice when he turns, it's kind of end block turning. It's not a quick turn. So that's one of the hallmarks of Parkinsonism is rigidity and bradykinesia, slow movement. And he has that hallmark, especially with the low voice that said was a cold.
And Sky News host James Macpherson backed this up, saying a Parkinson's expert has visited the White House on numerous occasions.
Well, there would have to be something wrong with your brain to allow the American border to be as it is. And it turns out America's got a president who's obviously got something wrong with his brain. Even the New York Times is reporting that a disease expert, specifically in Parkinson's disease, has been visiting the White House. In fact, one such expert visited 8 times in the last 8 months. Now, of course, Joe Biden denies that he has any problem. He says that he undergoes a neurological exam every day as he goes about his business as the president.
Every day?
But numbers of neurologists, none of whom have treated the president, but who have observed his behaviour, all agree he is exhibiting symptoms that would be consistent with Parkinson's disease.
Sky News All-Star Alex Stein agrees, saying the president is clearly mentally deficient.
Well, Danica, I have to say, it seems to me that President Joe Biden has maybe gotten one too many kangaroo kicks to the head. And, we can joke and say that it's Parkinson's, or, we can say that he has some sort of mental deficiency. But really, it's just a stain right now on our entire country because we have a president that doesn't even know how to act in church. He doesn't even know the color of his own skin. He doesn't even know his own sexuality. I mean, this man is seriously mentally deficient, and just the fact that his own party is just now seeing it when people on the right have been calling this out for the past 4 years, basically, it kind of makes me lose faith in the media, and the fact that they're doing it this late seems just like a desperate attempt to try to fix a situation that they already knew was broken.
For years, Joe Biden has been protected by the media. But since the disastrous debate, the world has had their eyes open to the true dire state of the president's health, says Sky News All-Star Sophie Ellsworth.
Quite frankly, I think the media have been quite appalling and not calling out Joe Biden for his failures, his cognitive failures that have been present and obvious for years. They have been, in total denial, James, over this. We were talking about this on Sky long ago and criticised heavily for this. But now they've finally woken up over there in America, and I think this is the gift that is just going to keep giving for Donald Trump. Why would he want Joe Biden to step aside? Not forgetting Joe Biden is 82 in November, so if he gets into office and he's in this shape now, heaven help us if he's got another 4 years ahead. And James, to be really honest about this, I think it's a sad state of affairs that he doesn't seem to have all his faculties, but his ego is getting the better of him, and he's determined and saying, I will stay here. I mean, this is going to be a shocking few months ahead for him with already that disastrous presidential debate. I mean, if that's the warm-up, heaven help us for the rest of what we've got ahead in months to go.
Sky News All-Star Kinsey Schofield agrees, saying no one, not even celebrities, want to defend Joe Biden anymore because his decline is just so obvious.
I think that you're seeing certain celebrities decide that they don't want to be on the wrong side of history. I mean, what we witnessed in that presidential debate was a train wreck. And if you're watching, if you're actually aware of what's been going on with Biden over the last few years, seeing him fall down steps, hearing some of the mistakes he's made, not only in his memory, but in just utilizing the proper words to describe what he's trying to say, I think that you're not as shocked. But the reality is a lot of people were just tuned out. They knew they hated Donald Trump. They weren't going to give any energy to Joe Biden's gaffes. But everyone stopped to tune in to that debate. It was absolutely terrible, and nobody wants to defend him anymore because they don't want to be called out for being delusional or so blind by hatred for Donald Trump that they would prop up a candidate that is clearly no longer somebody that any of us have faith in.
Donald Trump is wasting no time exploiting Joe Biden's worsening health, even mocking him for his appearance.
It really was that way right from the start, right from the moment they introduced us, and then they introduced him and introduced me, and I walked out and I saw him, and he looked extremely pale, to put it nicely. And I don't know, maybe it was a good makeup job or maybe it wasn't, but he was a very pale-looking man. And when he started to speak, I don't know, I thought his voice was weak. I didn't know exactly what was happening. It was strange. But it was a strange evening. I will tell you, it was a strange debate because within a couple of minutes, the answers given by him they didn't make a lot of sense.
But the Biden administration is holding on for dear life, with Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre in total damage control, dodging questions about the president's health.
Our spokesperson, Karine Jean-Pierre, was asked about these visits to the White House. Here's her response.
So every year, around the president's physical examination, he sees a neurologist. That's 3 times. So that is answering that question.
No, it's not.
No, it is. It is. You're
Dr.
asking me.
Kennard, come to the White House.
But I also said to you, Ed, I also said to you, for security reasons, we cannot share names.
Joe, has she got the most difficult job in the United States? Surely that's the toughest role.
And again, when asked questions about the president's need to sleep at 8 p.m, the press secretary dodged the question, leading Sky News All-Star Douglas Murray to ask who is leading the country.
Joining me now is author of international bestsellers, including The Strange Death of Europe, The Madness of Crowds, and his latest book, The War on the West, Douglas Murray. Douglas, thanks for joining us. Let's start with the situation with Joe Biden, whose mental incompetence has become really the laughing stock of the world. Here is an exchange between Fox News reporter Peter Doocy and White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, where he asks a legitimate question about how a president who needs more sleep, can't do anything after 8 p.m, would handle a national security situation.
Well, he also said he's sharpest before 8 p.m. So, say that the Pentagon at some point picks up an incoming nuke. It's 11 p.m. Who do you call? The First Lady?
He has a team that lets him know of any news that is pertinent and important to the American people. He has someone that is decided, obviously, with his National Security Council on who gets to tell him that news.
Douglas, the best she could say is, well, we've got a whole team, we would wake the president immediately in the event of a nuke. Has this now gotten to the point where it's dangerous?
It's long past that point, I'm afraid, because the question that is on everybody's lips in America is, who then is running the country? Who exactly is running it? Who's running it after 4 p.m. in the afternoon or whenever it is that we're told that Biden starts to wind down for the day? Are they confident about waking him in the night? Clearly not. Karine Jean-Pierre behaves as ever, as if it's just impertinent to ask any question of the Sun King and his court, and it's very troubling. What the American public have seen growing for a long time, and which the Democrat media have had to admit since the catastrophic debate with Trump the other week, is that Biden is not on top of his game, to say the very least. And so where is the direction of the country? Where is the security of the country? And all we get are these sort of miffed and peeved answers from the White House press spokeswoman. And really, you know, these are questions that should be asked, and furthermore, they're questions that should be answered.
And it seems whilst Joe Biden is dazed and confused, Jill Biden has elected herself as POTUS, according to Sky News All-Star Josh Hammer.
You know, I've been speculating that for a while, that she really is the woman behind the curtain, so to speak, and now the media here in the United States seems to be picking up on that. I have no idea what she wants. I mean, look, Joe Biden has been in Washington, D.C. for a half century. He first got to the U.S. Senate in 1974. He's run for president 3 or 4 times. The first time was before I was even born, back in 1988. What more could you want? I mean, you've had the reins of power. And, you know, even holding aside this Lady Macbeth just zeal for power, if you are a wife, shouldn't you have some sense of humiliation and shame when your husband gets out there and just completely embarrasses himself in front of the entire world the way that he did on that CNN presidential debate? Even if Jill Biden is not an American patriot, and I have good reason for suspecting that she probably is not a staunch patriot, even if you're not, surely you care as a wife to your spouse, who the most recent reports show there might be Parkinson's disease, medical experts now coming into the White House. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. But yes, Joe Biden is definitely not calling the shots. He's definitely not the one who's receiving the classified information every morning in the president's daily brief. He's not the one who's making the life or death decisions with the nuclear football. And again, as an American myself, I gravely fear for this country, and everyone around the world ought to care, because America obviously is still a superpower, at least nominally speaking.
And whilst Jill Biden is running the White House, Hunter Biden is said to be running Joe Biden's campaign, according to Donald Trump.
I think Jill would like to see him stay. She's having a good time. I notice she really seems to be having a good time, and I'm hearing that Hunter is calling the shots.